Welcome! You're listening to the Church Files Podcast, which features fun-filled, hard-to-believe, hilarious experiences from working in the church. From antics in the parish office to absurd voicemails and funny liturgical moments. You think working for the church is dull? Think again. Humor is out there. And now, here's our host, Craig Colson.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Church Files Podcast. My name is Craig Colson, and I'm glad to bring you another episode today of the Church Files Podcast. And I'm really excited about this topic and this one. If you have, seen me at a conference or that kind of thing, you've probably inevitably, because I like to talk. I'm Italian. I talk with my hands, I like to share these stories a lot. And today's episode is the Church Files voicemail edition. So over the years, I have received several voicemails, and this is a trend that I notice in churches, and I've had a few colleagues too that this has happened to, where random people, and I would say 99.9% of the time, it's people that you've never met, that you've never seen before. They've never come and talked to you in person about these things, but they'll call the office. And in this case, I have three that I'm going to share today. And it's just going to be me today. There's no special guest or whatever, because these are going to be personal ones that happened to me. But we'll have other guests on it at other times. But these three voicemails were totally anonymous. No one ever talked to me. So none of these people came and talked to me. I wish that they would. After you hear them, you'll know why. But no one ever talked to me. They were blocked numbers. So I couldn't even return the call because, on the caller ID it will come up. And it's kind of a trend for probably the last 15, 20 years. We've gotten voicemails that go to email. So you just get the audio file. So that's why I have these audio files. So I would play them, just for colleagues from time to time, and people would be like, "Oh, where's that voicemail? You got to play this for so-and-so. That is so crazy. I can't believe someone actually left that on a voicemail." So eventually I just started putting them in like a Dropbox folder together to keep them organized, so I could kind of have them on speed dial and whip them out and play them for people, because you just can't make this stuff up. And that's what this podcast is about. It's just funny things that happen that, you think at church, you just, you pray, you sing some songs, you do the rosary and all those kind of things. You have some meetings and that's it. And that's a part of it. And that's a big part of it. But a lot of times it's really dealing with just crazy stuff. So that's why people have been encouraging me for years, write a book, do a sitcom, it could be a TV show or something. And of course it's all in good fun. There's nothing, it's just poking a little fun. And we have some serious things in the world, and those are all important. There's a lot of important issues and those kind of things. But a lot of times we just need to laugh too. So that's the reason for this. And hopefully maybe we can learn a little bit, because I do have a little bit of a teaching moment, I hope, in this. So it is not only just funny, but maybe we can think twice before we pick up that phone and call somebody randomly. So this particular church, and everything's anonymous, but in this podcast, but this particular church I had started at, and when you go to a new place, and I think this is true with any job, even if you're transferring and you're an insurance salesman at one place and you go to another place, there's a learning curve with every organization, the way they do things, their protocols, things like that. So, when you go to a new church, you're dealing with a new set of people, probably a new set of musicians. It's not, sometimes you have people maybe that want to come from one church to the next and play or sing with you. And I've had that before, and that's great. But a lot of times it's dealing with, all new people that sometimes you've never met before. You don't know their musical ability. The sound system, there's these digital soundboards, and, if you're not good at that kind of thing, it can be really overwhelming and daunting because you're used to the setup at your last place, And in a lot of our churches, we don't have professional, sound engineers and things like that. And a lot of the sound systems are just not great. Some of them are really good. This particular church had a really good sound system. So it's one thing I had going for me here, but you'll see what happens in a minute. But so this was my first Sunday dealing with, a marble. A lot of the churches are marble. They don't have a lot of carpeting, that kind of thing. There's pews with no padding on them. So it's just bouncing. The sound is bouncing off everywhere. And so it's always an interesting kind of challenge. And the funny thing is with this first voicemail that you hear, I did have a professional sound engineer, but it was my first weekend. So my very first weekend, I'm excited. And this particular voicemail that you're going to hear was the youth mass. So a lot of times in churches we'll have like a Sunday night service that's geared towards young people to try and get young people to come to church. And, maybe if they don't have family that goes and they can sit with their friends and that kind of thing. So we try and make the music a little more engaging for them. And ironically, the young people like usually a lot more of the prayerful kind of music. So it's not always upbeat and nothing crazy or anything like that. So I think I mentioned this voicemail that I did not get this voicemail. It did not come to me. It actually came to another staff member who emailed it to me, who said, take it with a grain of salt. And probably if I had to look back on it now, if I was that staff member, I don't know that I would have sent it, but I'm glad they did, because it's been a lot of humor and a lot of joy.
Happy, happy, joy, joy, happy, happy, joy, joy, happy, happy, joy, joy.
Well, without further ado, let's listen to this first voicemail here.
Yes, hello. I attended Mass, and the choir was just rambunctiously loud. Country Western took over. Whoever was in charge of that was nonstop loud playing, and the playing continued long after the person stopped singing. Really? When did the choir take over the Mass? It is so loud up there. You have sopranos singing at the top of their screechy voices, and you have these rock star types. Western, really, whatever happened to quiet, sacred music? Everybody has to be a rock star now? Really, this is a disgrace. You don't have to be loud to be effective. It was totally nauseating.
Well, welcome to the parish. Isn't that a great way to welcome someone who's like brand new to the parish? And, it's just funny. People are just funny sometimes, like I probably didn't even think that, she goes there, sees a new guy up there leading music, like, I'm going to leave him this voicemail and tell him how awful this music is. Never came up and talked to me, never, called the office and said, can I speak to whoever's in charge of the music? Literally asked for like the business manager, person. Yeah, it's just crazy stuff. So yeah, I'm nauseating.
Everything's all right. No, I do apologize.
That's really nice. It's great for my self-esteem. No, I don't care. People are people, and people are critics, and obviously she likes a different kind of music, and I can tell that by this next one as well, because she actually, I said that was the youth mass. She actually picked a different mass the next week, so maybe she figured out, that okay, maybe this mass is rambunctiously loud and nauseating, and maybe the other ones aren't. So the next, in a couple weeks later, she decided apparently to go to a different mass. And, funny again, that I don't know this person's name. I've never talked to them. I don't know who they are. They've never talked to me. And the other funniest thing about this that I want you to keep in mind is that this mass that she goes to next, that she's going to call the next voicemail that she calls, I was not even at, okay? I wasn't even there. It's not like I was out of town. I just did not do that mass. We had another musician who did that mass, okay? So she picks a different mass, and let's hear that one now.
Yes, I have a question. I attended Mass yesterday, I believe the 27th, at 7 a.m., and the director of music
wasn't even there.
His voice is so dreary. and the music is atonal. It's not even, there's no hymns. It has no melody.
Okay, I got to stop it right there. There's no hymns and there's no melody. This message cracks me up. God bless this. God bless this lady. That was the Mass that we actually said we would do all the same music at all the Masses, but at that Mass, at the 7 a.m., we would have a hymn at the beginning. It was usually like, praise the Lord, God Almighty, or all creatures of our God and King, or Holy God, we praise thy name, all these classic, hymns we have. And we would end with a hymn. So there was more hymns at that Mass than most churches even around us, but anyone at that church. So no hymns and no melody. I'm still trying to figure out how you have a song with no melody.
Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti. Oh, let's see if I can make it easier.
Anyway, so let's continue to listen.
And he's taken over the whole Mass. Really, it's purgatory on earth to listen to this guy. It's non-stop. And when he's not singing, he's playing. Do we have to have wall-to-wall Craig Colson? What happened to the Mass itself?
I'm going to get T-shirts made, wall-to-wall Craig Colson. In fact, if somebody has a T-shirt company, I've just never done it. Can you grab a picture of me and make a T-shirt that says wall-to-wall Craig Colson? It's not, I really don't have that big an ego, but I think it'd be a great shirt. One of the teens, overheard me playing this for somebody at a conference I was at this summer, and they were like, let us hear it. And all of a sudden all the teens came running, and I played them a little bit of this. I said, yeah, because it was a musician conference. I said, when you guys are music directors one day, you're going to have to deal with this kind of stuff. And they were like hilarious. And when it got to that line, they were like, oh my gosh. And one of the kids at dinner, I won't say his name, but you know who you are, so I'm calling you out, stood up at the dinner and he goes, I'm just so glad this week that I had wall to wall Craig Colson. So that was a good moment. So little shout out there. Yeah, that's a good one. Wall to wall Craig Colson. And by the way, I wasn't there. Continuing.
He's got a monotone voice. It's very dreary.
Dreary.
And that's what we hear for an hour. Please reconsider this. It is too much.
Wasn't even there.
And as I said, the music, I have no idea what it's about. I can't tell what he's singing. It's just made up songs.
Okay. It's made up songs. Just made up songs. God bless this woman with abundant blessings. It's made up songs. Every song is made up. Every song is made up. Someone at some point in time made up every single song. Beethoven made up Ode to Joy and all his symphonies, Vivaldi. I mean, all these, whether it's classical or whatever, some people didn't make up their own songs and they sing them, but every song at some point was made up. So that's an interesting one too.
Please consider this. Thank you.
Thank you. Please consider this. Doesn't leave her name, no way to contact her. So actually, the funny thing about this was, she actually sent my pastor, he was a great guy, he sent him an email, and she explained whatever she explained in the email. I never saw it, never got her name or whatever, but I'd heard that she emailed him. And I said, Father, now I can respond to this woman and I can tell her about the church documents, about how, and this is our little teaching moment now for the Church Files podcast. The church in Vatican II, the council in the early 60s, that is church law, says the goal above all else is full, active, conscious participation. So it's not about really whether you like the music or not. It's about your full, active, conscious participation in all of the Mass. And so I said, well, I can, tell her about some of these things now, why we do what we do. And his response was, that old bat? He goes, don't worry, she'll never come here again. So I don't know what he wrote her in the email. I never saw it, but she didn't. I never heard from her again, never got another voicemail until he left the parish and another priest came. And this happens sometimes. Okay, this is one of the church files here that happened. Sometimes when a pastor leaves and another pastor comes, the people who didn't get their way, with the other pastor and, didn't get listened to or whatever it was. And this happens with different staff members too, probably in all organizations, but they'll come back and they'll try and, sometimes get their way again. So this woman left another voicemail, which I'm sure if you've ever heard me talk about these voicemails, everyone here is waiting for, but I'm going to make you wait a little longer because I'm going to put that third voicemail about a year and a half later. She picks a completely different topic, and those two are good, but this one is a showstopper. So we're gonna revolve an episode around this next one. So you're gonna have to wait, and I know as people go boo, you're gonna have to wait to hear that third voicemail. But it's a doozy. So this one we're gonna stick on music ministry, the voicemails, that kind of thing. So because she takes a different topic you're gonna love at a later point here. So this was another one that I received one day. So let's check this one out.
I attended Catholic Mass for the first time in 22 years.
Welcome.
I ran a sound system at a Lutheran church for organ, handbells, a choir, all kinds of stuff. Anyway, today was an experience. Well, today I noticed that between the middle and the front, there's all open seating. Nobody sat towards the middle of the front. I thought that rather strange because middle towards the back was jam-packed seating, not a seat open.
Okay, so this person hasn't been to Catholic Mass in 22 years, but the one thing, if you're Catholic, you know this. Catholics do not sit in the front. I don't know what it is. I've literally at Mass, we're let's get people to sit. I've before Mass, would you please come up closer? Father has asked that you all come up closer so we can pray together more as a community. Literally 2 people might get up. That's it. They will just stand there with that frozen chosen look and just look at you. People just will not move. And Catholics do not sit in the front. Okay, that's the deal. It might happen with other religions too. I don't know. You can let me know. But Catholics do not sit up front. But anyway, let's keep listening.
Until the service started, there is a band there with guitar and piano, with a gentleman at the piano singing, and then there's singers, not a choir, singing gospel all the way through Mass, right? Okay, which I don't entirely agree with, whatever. But that band, the singers and the guy at the piano, is overpowering. Okay? Now here's the problem with that. There's either A, you guys have a sound system in the church.
We do.
And somebody is not running it properly, and that band there is drowning out. I walked out of there with a headache. People cannot sit closer than the middle. It is even overpowering in the back. That gentleman at the piano and his singers and the music is overpowering. If you sit in the middle is where I sat. It's either A, there's a sound system in your church that somebody is running incorrectly every service, which I doubt that. Because why would they do it every service? That people are used to having to sit in the back to get away from the overpowering gospel. But what I'm suspecting is that gentleman at the piano has some sort of amplifier. He's got his guitar and his system there plugged into, possibly. But either way, that is a serious issue that people are sitting at the back of the church to get away from this overpowering. I'm not sure. If you don't believe me, try 11 o'clock Mass next Sunday and see that there is open sitting from the middle to the front of the church. It's kind of a loose crowd.
Okay, the other part of this is 11 o'clock Mass, okay? The hardcore Catholics, they go to 7 a.m., 9 a.m., those are those are packed. The 11 a.m. mass is like, at most parishes is like the last chance kind of mass, unless they have like a Sunday night. It's usually like when the kids sleep in or you can't get the kids out of mass. So no one is coming in there. Half of them are arriving late, unfortunately, and they're going to sit towards the back. So this is why this is happening at this mass. But anyway, we'll keep listening. It's almost
There's not that many people sitting there. Why would everybody jam pack towards the back?
Because they're late.
I mean, that's not. Don't tell me that everybody's just, they're not comfortable towards the
Yeah,
front.
that's it.
No, this is because of this overpowering gospel. So their sound system, whether it's a sound system in your church or that guy's got an amplifier with the sound system, it is overpowering, ladies and gentlemen. Because I walked out with a headache because I ran a sound system in a church for 8 years. They need to be brought down on their level of sound altogether, because it was just overpowering. I just wanted to let you guys know, because, I walked out with a headache, and the entire church is sitting towards the back of the middle of the church.
Wow. The name of that voicemail in my Dropbox is overpowering. If you didn't get that clue yet. Yeah, it was overpowering. So anyway, God bless her. God bless these people. The thing is I was actually paying a sound engineer at this parish, a professional sound engineer who's really good. And when I got this voicemail, I immediately called him and I said, and he's like, oh my gosh, it's not even that loud. He had a professional decibel meter that he's got on his, like a unit, like a decibel meter unit. He's like, you weren't even whatever decibels it was. He goes, it's not even loud till it gets to this, decibel, whatever. So we had professional sound people, and, maybe she's just not that apt to running sound, but it's the kind of thing, like, if you want to help, just complain anonymously. Again, the voicemail sent to someone else, and she could have offered to help, like, hey, I could help you, like, this is what I observed, and that would have been like a casual conversation. And this is, in our world too, like on social media, we'll just write comments, about someone that we don't even know, and be mean or rude. And it's like, can we just talk to the person and have a normal conversation? What happened to civility? And it reminds me, Matthew chapter 18, verses 15 through 17. If you have a problem with your brother or sister, take it to them. And if they, if you can't get anywhere with them, basically it says, bring another person. If you can't get anywhere with that, then bring in the church. But it's funny how people jump, to number 3, and they're like, I'm going to call the church. I'm going to talk to someone in charge there because this is overpowering. So, God bless her. I'm not trying to say anything mean, and I hope no one takes it like that. But it's just to point out, these are some of the funny things. People are like, oh, you work full time for the church? Like, what do you do all day? And this is a lot of what we do. Is deal with things that are just crazy sometimes. So those are some of the voicemails, and I hope you enjoyed them as much as I have, and some other people have over the years. And maybe you're out there and you have a great voicemail too. I did get we asked people for if they want to send a story in to the Gmail account. So it's the churchfilespodcast@gmail.com. So I do have one story that someone sent, and I'll read this to you. So this is from Jen, and we're going to keep it, pretty anonymous, but I'll use a first name, not a last. But this was someone who works at a church, and she says, we received another voicemail, at the church office line from a non-parishioner. At the time she called, she was apparently watching the news about the Notre Dame Cathedral that was burning down. And while she was on hold, our hold music happened to be the Can, or the Gallup Internal by Offenbach, I think it's pronounced. And she says, anyway, the woman was angered by the song and called back to tell us how insensitive it was that we chose to play that song while a sacred church was burning to the ground. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. She went on to explain that the song was a really bad song about prostitutes, basically, is what it says here. And we shouldn't be playing it regardless. And she demanded that we remove that song from our system. Now, people know that you can't necessarily choose your hold music. Whatever your phone company is, sometimes that's the hold music they give you. However, that didn't stop her from calling back several times to make sure we got rid of that awful song. So it's like she intentionally thought that the church, knew Notre Dame was burning down, and this is this, beautiful church, however many years old it is, and that they put this music on the hold. So yeah, there's something I learned I worked for the Jesuit priests at one time, and they have this saying, it's called presume goodwill. And I've loved that. If you think, well, why is that happening? Presume goodwill. Presume that, no one's doing this with malice or ill intent in their heart, that they're doing it, if they're doing something wrong, maybe they don't know, So anyway, presume goodwill. I think that we could go a long way with Matthew chapter 18. I don't want to get preachy on this, but Matthew chapter 18, 15 through 17, and presuming goodwill of other people, that maybe that wasn't their intention. Maybe it wasn't my intention to be loud, obnoxious, and nauseating and make you feel like it's purgatory on earth. Because, I don't want to make anyone feel like they're in purgatory on earth. I hope the music would be beautiful and people would love it. And lots of people have really loved the music over the years, but there's always some critics. So anyway, thanks for watching this first voicemail edition of the Church Files podcast. And just wait, that other one that's coming, it's a doozy. So it could kind of have its own episode. And I haven't figured out exactly if I'm going to have a guest on that, because sometimes we'll have guests, like I said, sometimes it'll be just me, but I think that one, we might need a guest on that one, because it's a good one. I just got to find the right person. So anyway, thanks for joining us for the Church Files podcast, and check back, like and subscribe at the Church Files podcast on YouTube, like our Facebook page, share it with your friends, tell them to tune in. We're not going to do it like on a real consistent basis. It'll just be an episode here or there whenever we can get them done and that kind of thing. I say we, it's really just me. So, but have a great day and God bless. And remember, humor is out there. God bless everybody.
Well, that's our show for today. Thanks for tuning in. Invite your friends to like and subscribe to the podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and our Facebook page at the Church Files Podcast. And remember, if you have a funny church story, send it to the churchfilespodcast@gmail.com. God bless, and remember, humor is out there.